conversation. Merci d'accueillir Didier Alouche.
Comment ça va, Kate?
Bien. Ça va?
Bah, super. I feel like I'm in the beginning of tour, but... Alright, so I really wanted to start with it because, first of all, we're very happy that you're doing this rendezvous with us today. Oh, merci beaucoup. But you're also here for something that is very important. It's the Displacement Film Fund. So, very simply, what is it and why is it so important for you?
Well, firstly, thank you all for coming. And thank you to the festival and to Terry for hosting me and really for hosting the fund. It's about just over 2 years ago, a group of us were at the Global Refugee Forum. I've been a goodwill ambassador with the UN Refugee Agency. I thought everyone was going to put their phones down and just be present. And yeah, for over 10 years. And when I started working with them, the numbers of people who were displaced internally and externally beyond their borders was about 60 million. Now it's well over 120 million. And that, and with that exacerbated by what's happening to our climate, they're the two biggest challenges we face as a species. And all of us around the table were asked to make a pledge, and we identified that it is very odd with these two very pressing challenges on us as human beings that the issues of displacement and climate aren't more foregrounded or even in the background of the narratives we tell. And we wanted to find a way where we could support displaced filmmakers, because of course when you're displaced you don't stop being a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor or a filmmaker. And you know, the time that people spend in displacement before they can safely return to their country of origin is around 19 years. So that's a whole career that's lost, not only for that individual, but for audiences. And so we very quickly, we thought it would take a long time, we launched the fund here at Cannes, and Terry very kindly offered us the platform. And then it was a rolling stone. We got great support with the Rotterdam Film Festival, Hubert Baal's Fund, and some wonderful private partners, and have now developed a fund that gives 50 grand to five established displaced filmmakers, or filmmakers who are alive to the issues of displacement, to make a short film. And we launched them in Rotterdam this year, and the reception was just extraordinary. And what's been wonderful is not only, so Mohamed Rasselov, who was well known here, he was one of the filmmakers. It not only is the power of the film, but the power of them as a cohort, because of course, like being female, it's not a monolithic experience. So the different perspectives that they brought, the stories they told, was really exciting. And tomorrow we're launching and announcing the second round. So we're hoping to move to a legacy fund. But it was primarily to support those stories and get them into the mainstream.
Sorry to be more precise, but how does it work? How do you get the help? Or do you have the help? Can we help? Is there like a website that we can go and check it out? And
Yes, at the moment we're running that through the Rotterdam Film Festival website, and it was a pilot program, so we've had a lot of learnings along the way, but you can go and see them. And so we're with Film Forum in New York, we're having qualifying screenings so they can be qualified for the Academy Awards, and then there's exciting news to come about where they'll be platformed and where audiences can see them, because part of the DNA was not to ghettoize these stories and have them seen by people who are perhaps alive already to that sort of storytelling and those sort of perspectives, but to get them seen more broadly. So that's stage 2 of the program.
I appreciate your what you're doing, because I think we all agree here. We get the news every day. We get like reports every day on the news network and everything. But the stories are getting more and more difficult to be told and to be given to us. The story coming from difficult places. What is, on your opinion, is there a role that cinema is playing that is even more important than it used to be in telling the story we never hear?
Yes, I do. I think festivals increasingly are becoming, I keep thinking we're like polar bears on ice floes, and those ice floes are festivals. They're places for discussion, dissemination, not only of individual films, but that's the glory of having a festival, is that you get to, and I've talked a lot to Terry about this, and Alberto at Venice, is that you don't necessarily set out with a theme, but by simply choosing a series of films, themes emerge, because artists are very alive to the undercurrent of what is going on in society. So I think it's they're very, very important places, not only for the films themselves, but for audiences, for critics, and for the wider public to discuss what goes on in those narratives.
The windows on the world.
Answer, because these things are so fluid, and change, like glacial change, it happens so slowly that it's hard to actually identify. I think coming out of drama school, you get armed with a toolbox of technique, and you're trying to employ all of those things, and a little bit like a bird trying to fly out of its nest, not sure if you can fly. But in the end, I think perhaps I was searching for solid ground. But you quickly realise that, any artistic life, no matter what art form you're working in, is you're always working on quicksand. And in fact, I think I work better in quicksand, because you find the way you need to stand. Each project reveals what you need to do. And like art is in life, you're always searching for flow. And so if the thing is flowing, don't arrest it. Don't arrest it with technique. That's the thing I've learned. Just let it go and trust that, experience or connecting with the other actor, radical presence will actually see you, and humility. But in the end, I think what hasn't changed is I always start with not knowing, and so the process of working on something, whether it's in film or television or theatre, is a process of trying to find out. So it's always wanting to be in a project. I think I heard Richard Serra say something about his work, which I thought really resonated with me, is that if you can sense what the project is, what the sculpture is going to become, then he turns away from it. If you know what it is, then it's not rich enough to sustain you, and you should hand it to somebody else. So I think I always like those things, and that's why, sometimes it just doesn't work, which is a very public failure, but that's, I suppose, what I've developed, is a thick skin, but yeah, so I think it's probably just trusting that the work will reveal itself to me, which, at 3 o'clock in the morning, when you're staring at the wardrobe and thinking that perhaps now is the time to kill yourself, because it happens, rather than going on set the next day, that hasn't changed. And I think nerves are important. I think nerves are really important, because it means that you might have the chance to break through to something new.
How about the passion? Is it still here? The passion for you?
Yeah, definitely.
How to keep that?
Oh my God! Look at the people I've had the chance to work alongside. My God! I step on set and I think I get to work with you, and you're the costume designer, and oh my God, look at this incredible array of props that I've got to play with. It's there's so much around you to inspire you. But look, as I said at the beginning, there's the world's in a parlous state, and there's a lot to be done. And so I do have a lot, sometimes too much, energy, and I suppose I'm at a point now where I'm thinking, where's the best place to channel that energy? Because it is, I think being alive is working out, where you can be most effective, but also where you can find joy. Let's face it, more joy.
I did work a lot on this interview, and I noticed that.
Did you write the answers as well?
Yeah, the answers. So far, you're doing good. This is something that I find fascinating with you. Some people, some actors are working very much on preparing the part, you're kind of obsessive. I mean, you
Am I?
Yeah, you're working like crazy. I mean, I read somewhere that if it's a
Did I say that?
yeah, you did. If it's a biopic, you want to know absolutely everything about the person. If it's not, you have to create an entire life for this character. Is that true? Is that important for you? How do you take that in the creation of your characters? The work that you do.
I'm very slow. You know, and I keep saying to filmmakers, just can the first 2 days, can I just walk by in the back of shot, you know, before I have to actually do anything. It takes me a while to warm up. Maybe it's just years and years of being in a theatrical rehearsal room, so you get to play around a bit before. So in terms of the preparation, I think the preparation I remember when I was playing a version of Bob Dylan, I had a panic attack of sorts because I was on the set of the second Queen Elizabeth film, The Golden Age, and I had to lose quite a lot of weight. And so, so I was getting thinner and thinner and thinner as the film went on. And every lunchtime I was watching the outtakes of the Pennebaker documentary, you know, thinking, I have to leave here on Friday, get to Montreal on Saturday, have a costume fitting and be on set for the Dylan film on Monday. And so I felt like I had no time to prepare. But in a way, because I've been watching this stuff and my body had been changing, is that I must have assumed that stuff by osmosis. And what I realized was that Todd Haynes he creates a playlist for every actor, you know, in all of his films. He's so democratic in his sharing of his visual landscape, how the film's going to look, that all the preparation in the world I didn't make any sense until I put the eyebrows on, put the costume on, and stepped on his set. And so the atmosphere he created meant that we could lift off. So no one wants to see your homework as an actor. And so you do have to leave all that preparation behind and just trust that you're going to then play with the other actors, and what will stick will stick. Although my friend who was doing makeup at one point said, I think you need to put a sock down your pants. Yeah, because it just would give me a different sort of package. And that was very helpful. I hadn't thought. So sometimes the suggestion comes from other people in the spur of the moment.
Well, the answer kind of answered my next question, but I was about to ask you about instinct, about the part of instinct that you keep for every character, because I remember it's one thing, it's just a look in Babel, in Yaritu's movie, when she understands what's happening, she's in the bus and she understands what's happening, kind of understands what's happening. You have a look that is, I'm like, wow, she got it, and I'm totally into the film. You caught us, you caught me at least, into this bus with you. This is something that is
when the character was shot?
Yeah, when she understands what's happening. I mean, not the shot itself, but this moment right after, and it's just a look in your eyes that I'm like, wow, this is happening, because she's, with her eyes, she's telling me this is happening. This is something that I found fascinating. I mean,
but Inaruti, he loves, he's incredibly intense and loves that chaos. I mean, the experience of the film was incredibly chaotic. Yeah, my son had an accident in Morocco, so I think I was quite traumatized anyway. So maybe, yeah, that was art imitating life. But I mean, I remember the first day we shot Brad and I shot a scene. We did a couple of takes, and Inaruti came up and said, "This is shit." He said, "What is this shit?" And he said, "There's nothing here." He said, "This scene has to work or the movie doesn't work." He walked off. You know, but what it is it knocks you off your center. I mean, that's a form of direction. This is the thing too, it's a really interesting time, I think, for us to think about the way we talk to one another on set. Because some people would say that's incredibly disrespectful, or that's upsetting to me. But sometimes a director can lead with love, but incredibly tough love. And I've been sort of thinking a lot about how we can create respectful spaces for one another that are still robust and demanding. Because I think we have to be rigorous when we make film. With joy. Joyful, 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 always joyful. And you know, we have to play, right? We're playing. But sometimes you have to say, sometimes someone's just not, they're blocked. And there's, you know, you have to try ways to help them unblock them, you know. So it's, yeah, it was, yeah. So I don't know whether that look was also just frightened that Inarita was going to come in and say it's shit to me again.
Well, whatever it was, it worked.
Yeah. Talked to actors, and they're incredibly good with the technical stuff. Some directors are very interested in the post-production process, and so it's just gathering information that they can then put together in the editing room. Some are great with script, and some are great at all of that stuff. But in the end, I don't know if you've ever watched professional snooker players or billiard players playing. The way they look at the whole table, and they'll look at the ball, and they'll know, in order to get it in there, I need to get the ball in there. There's an accuracy, there's a sense of the whole, and a precision, and that the putting the balls in all the right place. So increasingly, I think it's what Scorsese says, is it's knowing where to put the camera. So you watch what's going on, and then you think, I've got to put the camera here. And so over the years, I've been on set, and something's wrong, and people often say, don't be so hard on yourself. What you're doing is not. I said, no, it's not about me. Something's wrong. And you think the camera's not in the right place. We're not being looked at in the right way. And sometimes when you're in a scene, because you realise this scene is not about my character, it's actually about that character over there. And so I'll sometimes say to the director, look where I'm standing. If you look at that actress or actor from where I'm standing, do you see what I see? And so then, you know, and Todd Field always says, you put the camera down and then you move it 2 feet to the left. Or you put the camera down and move it 2 feet to the right. And so I think it's that level of precision. And that can come, I think a director has to know what their strengths are. Same with actors. You have to know what your strengths are, and you have to know what your weaknesses are. And so if you think, I am really good with performance, but I need someone who...
And does it help if the director is a big cinephile? We're talking about Guillermo. He knows every movie he ever made. Does that help? I mean, when a director says, I want you to play like this character in this movie and this character in this movie, are you like, what is he talking about? Or does that help you in order to build up the character?
I think for me personally, every actor's different. But for me, the more input I get into, you know, the window inside the way the director, the screenwriter, the production team is thinking about how they're going to look, what the frame is going to look like, the better for me. And so when we were doing The Aviator with Scorsese, he just screamed all these screwball comedies for me. You know, His Girl Friday and Bringing Up Baby, and we'd watch that, and I thought, oh, he's after an attack. He's after a rhythmic attack. And so the first time Katharine Hepburn comes into the story, she just talks. And so I realised that's what he was wanting me to absorb that energy. Now, he didn't say that to me directly, but he presented it to me to take or leave, you know. And so I think that's I mean, everyone says that good directing is also casting, right? So you cast people, and then you want to see what they're going to do with the role. So I find those references, and with Guillermo, it's always a tour around the set and giving you options to play with, in the environment. And he's very, very inclusive in all of the aspects of the process. He wants the actors to sort of have as much information as they can. I find that I love that. I love that.
Well, we're talking about The Aviator. What you do in the film is absolutely remarkable. And but I was wondering, when I saw the movie, I remember at the time, I was like, it's Cate Blanchett, but it's not really Cate Blanchett. It's like your version of her. Is that what Martin Scorsese wanted? Is it something that you kind of created with him?
yeah, I mean, he said to me, he said, oh, she doesn't have to be a redhead, she can be blonde, she can just look exactly like you. What he was saying was, he was liberating me from the idea that I had to do an impersonation. It was a terrifying proposition, I think, because, primarily because I was presenting her in a medium that she's so iconically known. If it had been a stage play, it would have been more licensed in a way. So, and I was also in colour, where in that period all of her films were in black and white, and so there's a strange dissonance to that. But yeah, so it was a bit nerve-wracking trying to find that balance. In the end, though, my job was to be in the film that Martin Scorsese was making. It was not about, presenting a kind of a drag show of Katharine Hepburn. Although some people might think that's what I did. So I don't know.
I don't think a lot of people say that. I'm going to open the floor to questioning in a minute, but before that, I would like to ask you a question that